this.
Okay.
Okay, it's working. All right. Let me just 1 second. Need the Oscar noms. Had the complete beginner guides open there. All right, hello and welcome to the Josh and Tyler Show. I'm Josh. This is Tyler. Today we're recording on a little bit of different technology. We had a minor setback, but not to worry. We are here. We are not live. We are pre-recorded because who's live these days? So for Tyler, going live the other day with Streamlabs and stuff. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was something.
Yeah, I missed the live stream, but I did catch it in the playback there. So.
I had no idea that it even was a live stream until those guys started recording, but it was certainly an experience to say the least.
Oh, yeah. And today we're happy to be back in action, back in black, back however you want to be. We are back once again. If you saw our show last week or our amazing Shin Ultraman review or any of Tyler's videos, you know we love movies. We love movies. We talk about movies. Today, what are we talking about, Tyler? What are we talking about?
We are talking about possibly the most boring set of Oscar nominations that our eyes have ever laid eyes on.
There's some decent stuff in here, but again, it's the Oscars. So, it's like boring automatically. If it's not boring, it's not the Oscars, You got to have those dull movies. You got to be like, that made me really
No,
think. That
not
made me
boring
think.
is what the Oscars should be.
I mean, there's some fun noms in here.
Well, there were good ones, obviously, but...
How many of these Oscar movies did you see, out of curiosity? I've seen about half.
Yeah, I'd probably put myself in the same boat on that one. I mean, just looking at the Best Picture category, there are, let's see, 5 movies that I have not seen and don't really plan on, in all honesty.
I've caught up on a bunch, and I've got more to catch up on. You got to go to the Princess Cinemas for your Oscar movie headquarters if you want to see Oscar films. What can I say? But yeah, let's just jump right into it there. I see you have a couple Oscar-nominated posters on your wall there with the Joker. That was nominated. Sorry to
Yes,
bother you.
rightly
Sadly,
so.
did not get an Oscar nomination. Great film.
One would think at least the best original screenplay
Yes.
on Boots Riley's part, because while I don't agree with his political beliefs, in fact, whenever he's not talking about movies, Boots Riley's kind of a fucking moron. But
I have no clue who that is. Did he
the
make the
writer,
movie?
the writer and director, yeah.
Oh, I just know that Lakeith Stanfield is awesome. I mean, in the first Knives Out is fantastic. So yeah.
Well,
All
the few
right.
minutes that he's in.
Are you gonna come see me host the Oscars at the Princess there? You gonna come?
That
Hosting
depends.
live.
Like, are you actually still hosting, even though you're not an employee there?
Lock
Really?
down that deal. Come see me host live. It's gonna be an event.
I don't know if I don't know if I'll show up, but I will definitely volunteer to write jokes for you again this year.
The price tag turn you off of nothing?
No, it's the fact that it's the Oscars and they continually just keep.
Oh,
pissing
come
me
on! You don't
off
want to see me interview people with nonsense over the L'Oreal Paris commercial because you're worth it, or the random red carpet when people are talking about dresses. I'm like, hey, listen to me.
Fuck, you are making this pretty persuasive.
There's just me. No, people like walking down the red carpet and doing it. They're like, it's the Oscar pre-show. Look at this dress. Who made it? And I'm like, so let me tell you about this story that I concocted because reasons. I usually do like a 10-minute opening set and then like jump into it. It's usually pretty fun. And then you win posters and all that good stuff. So, hey, come out to the Oscars Princess Twin Cinemas. You can get registered now online. It is free. Both cinemas. It's going to be a blast. But let's jump into these nominations. We're just going to go in order. Now, fun fact, when I Googled this, Tyler, the first research result for Oscar picks is not the Oscars.org. It's Variety.
Well, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
Why is Variety the first pick when they're just reporting on the news? Like, I don't know if this is a paid plant or not, but like, I don't usually use Variety for anything except for my Oscar ballot myself. So,
well, there you go. That's part of the reason. I mean, possibly Variety's most profitable time of year is when they are covering the Oscars. In fact, they're generally, as far as I know, the first people to really deliver the news to anybody about this.
They usually tweet it. Do you follow a live tweet, or do you watch it live, or do you like VPN it so you can like stream it? Like, how do you get your Oscar news?
I just went on Wikipedia the day they got announced and kept refreshing on which categories had been
Okay.
announced. I had a dentist appointment, so
Mm.
I had to wait until afterwards to get that information. And needless to say, it did make me feel better after my first trip to the dentist in like, I don't know, 4 years.
What song were they playing in the waiting room?
Actually, I remember more of the songs being played like during my
Oh.
actual appointment, and my hygienist was actually humming them out while doing the job, which
Oh,
actually
good.
made
What
it
was
a
the
lot of
songs?
fun.
I need to know.
Angel by Shaggy. You gotta love that.
It wasn't me.
It's a good song,
I
you
love
gotta
dental
admit.
hygienists just humming along. That's always great. Let's jump into lead actor here. So our nominations are Austin Butler for Elvis, Colin Farrell for The Banshees of Inisherin. I probably butchered that. Sorry, Inisherin.
No, you got that.
Brandon Fraser for The Whale, Paul Mescal for After Sun. I forgot that movie existed when I saw it, and it was fine. And Bill Nye,
It's nice.
Bill Nye the actor guy for Living. What are your thoughts on lead actor, best actor?
Okay, I'm not surprised in the slightest that Austin Butler got nominated for Elvis. I mean, say what you will about the movie, but dude just embodied the persona of Elvis Presley right down to the voice in a way that most actors. I looked at some of the people that Butler beat out. Miles Teller was one of the people that auditioned for Elvis, and
Hmm.
honestly, I can't see that working, but he would come close at the very least. So I'm not really surprised that he got nominated. And honestly, if he were to win, I wouldn't necessarily complain about
Well,
that.
I'm sort
But
of sick of the trend of music biopics just winning things. Like Bohemian Rhapsody winning Best Editing is one of the stupidest things the Oscars has done since Saving Private Ryan lost to Shakespeare in Love. It's a music video. It's not editing. But I will say that Austin Butler here is really good. He is if he wasn't in the movie, it wouldn't work. If you took him out of this film, put in maybe Miles Teller's be good. I don't know. I liked him in Top Gun. I thought fine, nothing wrong with that. But if you took him out of the film, this film is nothing. This is a nothing film.
yeah,
It's just
exactly.
ADHD TikTok videos and the most popular Elvis songs you can. Like the film didn't even have the guts to do like Let's Play House or Rip It Up or any of the early Elvis tracks. It didn't bother to dive deep into the realm of Elvis with his first single with Mystery Train. It just is like hit 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 hit. And
Oh,
it didn't
gee,
even
what a
cover
shock.
major events on him, but Austin Butler was awesome. Yeah, no, it's a vague thing. When I saw I saw the advertisement. I was at the movies watching Puss in Boots a few weeks ago, and I saw the advertisement for Whitney, and I was like, nah, I'll just go listen to the greatest hits record. I got myself covered. I will say it's nice to see Colin Farrell get a Oscar nom. I like the Banshees of Inisherin. It is a dark film. It is quite funny at times. It is. It. I will say it is better than Three Billboards. But not. What was the other one he did? Oh my goodness. But not. Is it
It's nowhere near in
in Bruges?
Bruges.
Yeah, it's not as good as in Bruges, but it's a solid effort. I like it. I like him and Brendan Gleeson. I like the dog. It's just it's a very charming film with a dark twist. I know a lot of people near that third act were like, oh no, animal cruelty, but like, that's the movie. What are you going to do? I didn't make it, but I'm really happy about this nomination.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, I remember being in the crowd of Inisherin when I was at TIFF. It was hands down the most consistently entertaining movie that I saw that year, which is interesting. The guy next to me was snoring the entire time. I don't know how you can pull that off. I mean, the Irish accents were not that hard to follow, at least in my opinion. I made it clear in my video that like some subtitles would have been nice, but at the same time, what going back to Elvis, the only reason you can nominate a musical biopic for anything is just to see if an actor can give a great impression of an iconic musician. And I mean, Austin Butler probably is the only Oscar worthy person of Elvis, in my opinion. But with Colin Farrell, dude's had a pretty good year between this, After Yang, and the Batman, where he was Penguin, which
Mm.
some real fun stuff there. But this is a role that is so out of out of the ordinary when it comes to Colin Farrell. I mean, he's generally a regular guy, or he's maybe a morally ambiguous anti-hero in a certain regard. I mean, when especially when it comes to In Bruges, he's a hitman, but he's
Yeah.
extremely guilt-ridden and suicidal. But here, he's a scrawny little dweeb that has absolutely no confidence in himself and is actually pretty unlikable for a dweeb. But it's him that makes you really connect with him. You look at this guy's miserable face and you know that he is compassionate and that he does care about other people, but because of his own insecurities, he cares more about himself than others at the end of the day. And it does a good job at explaining why people develop that mindset and why it's so hard for them to break apart for that.
I didn't think that deep about the movie. I just enjoyed watching it.
Well, hey, I didn't pick up on the Irish Civil War stuff until I watched it with my dad over New Year's.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to Brendan Fraser in The Whale, I mean, we all knew he was going to get nominated before we even saw it. And
this is the Oscar bait film of the year.
It was, and the movie as a whole absolutely was Oscar bait. And my main problem with The Whale is one that everybody tends to have, is that you can totally tell that this movie is based off of a play. Never mind that it takes place in just one location, but the dialogue and the way these actors are coached, except for Brendan Fraser, comes across more theatrical than it does cinematic. Literally,
if you
every
were
character.
Nominate anything that's like a play, give me the outfit. At least I was more intrigued by that film.
I'll get to that.
Interesting.
I'll get to
Did
that.
Get
like
any nominations? I really haven't looked at these because I wanted to leave it a surprise.
Not to my knowledge, but I do have like lists of what would happen if I picked the Oscar nominations. Like I have a list.
That's the exciting part at the end.
Is it though?
It's always exciting. This is the most exciting show on the internet, don't you know? Our 12
No,
viewers
actually,
are like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, this is exciting.
But in any case,
did you see After Sun?
No, I haven't seen After Sun, and I haven't seen Living.
I could care less.
Like I'm willing to bet that I would like After Sun a lot more than you do. I like those simple stories where it's just about one core relationship. And Living, all I know is that it's kind of sort of a remake of a Kurosawa movie, except the only thing that really stands out is that Bill Nye plays a decent human being for once, because Nye generally plays the villain in just about everything. But going back to The Whale, Brendan Fraser isn't necessarily the best character in the movie just because it is Brendan Fraser making a comeback. Dude's the only one that tries to be a little more understated and subtle in his performance. And a lot of people can attribute that to the fact that he's a 600-pound man. He can't really move much, so he can't really... It wouldn't make sense for him to emote that much either, but I would argue that restriction does work to his advantage, but can also create some challenges. He's generally sitting down to keep from huffing and puffing, so he has to choose his words wisely. He has to spend a lot of time listening to other people, and some of his best moments are just him listening to the complaints and criticisms of other people and reflecting on how that's his fault and what he can do to fix that. And those are performances that the Academy just doesn't acknowledge that much anymore.
Well, it is nice to see Brendan Fraser nominated. I would like to see him do something different, because it's like, when was the last time you saw a Brendan Fraser movie besides rewatching The Mummy on cable?
Well, that's the thing. How often
do
you see?
You've seen Airheads, maybe Airheads once in a while. Love Airheads. Fantastic.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's generally a likable goofball in everything. In The Mummy, in Encino Man, Airheads, George of the Jungle, Looney Tunes Back in Action.
This is about that one. That's a great. This
is new. This is relatively new ground for him. He generally doesn't do slower, more dramatic pieces. I mean, he did one FX show about the Paul Getty kidnapping, where instead of Mark Wahlberg as the business dealer, it was him instead. And I haven't seen it, but allegedly he was good. And I forgot that he was in Doom Patrol, but I haven't seen.
Voice. Timothy Dalton was in there too. Love Timothy Dalton.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Good old Mr. Pricklepants from Toy Story 3 and James Bond. Also in Pride and Prejudice and many other stage plays.
I only know him from the English dub of
I'd
Tales
actually
from Earthsea,
really like to see with this Oscar nomination, and I don't know, maybe like in this category, like I think Banshees of Inisherin is going to take it personally. That's me.
I would honestly, if I were to pick who were to win this, I probably would go with Colin Farrell, because it's just such an against type role for him. And you're absolutely right. He's given so many other good performances in the past that
Austin
he deserves
Butler is
it.
too young to win an Oscar. He's got to wait a few years and do a bunch of roles.
I don't go into the too young or too old shit, because
unless you're Anna Paquin and playing a piano, you got no shot.
She's the second youngest, though. People forget about Tatum O'Neal
Oh, I
acting
understand.
alongside her dad in Paper Moon, and that was a great
Hmm. Well,
performance.
what I hope to come out of this, I hope that Brendan Fraser gets to work with the Safdie brothers for a film. So we get something like a Sisters Brothers or a Uncut Gems or something just out of left field with Brendan Fraser in that movie in the future. But moving on to, what, you don't like that idea? No, I'm curious. I see your
Um,
face.
I'm not always. I'm pretty hit and miss when it comes to Safdie brothers. I wasn't an Uncut Gems fan. I acknowledge
Liked it a
it's
lot.
good, but the style where everybody's talking over one another, it just I hate it when a movie
That's
does
literally our
that.
show.
No, that's what you do. That's what
That's
you
fair.
do. You know how many times you've interrupted me the past 20 minutes and I'm just sitting
Like
there, I'm
so
like,
many.
okay. I'm just sitting there and I'm going, okay, next time we're face to face, we've got to establish a system about this.
So actor in a best supporting role: Brandon Gleeson for The Banshees of Inisherin, Brian Tree Henry for Causeway, never heard of it, Judd Hirsch for The Fablesman, Barry Cogan for The Banshees of Inisherin, and Kiwi Kwan for Everything Everywhere All at Once. What are your thoughts on this category, Tyler?
I am not surprised that Brendan Gleeson or Ke Huy Quan got nominated. In fact, as much as I thought Everything Everywhere was overrated, Ke Huy Quan was like the highlight in the movie and a genuine surprise because most people have only seen him act when he was a kid or a teenager. When you got Indiana Jones, Goonies, or going back to Brendan Fraser, Encino Man, because he was one of the caveman's classmates. And not gonna lie, I never liked him as an actor until Everything Everywhere. I mean, when I look at him and his work as a kid, it's a lot of screaming and shouting that just gets on your nerves so fucking
You don't
much.
like Temple of Doom?
No,
Temple of
I
Doom is
like.
the best Indiana Jones movie
No,
ever
it is
made.
not.
Yes, it is. They
No,
rip
it's
out
not.
hearts. They got the Calimao. They're going around on the minecart chase. It's like Donkey Kong Country all over again. Willie is not annoying. I adore that movie.
She fucking
She
sucks,
is
man. Come
hilarious.
on.
Walking through the
No,
tunnel of bugs.
no.
That whole comedic setup where they're like, "Oh no, I don't know if we're gonna do it or not," and they have to go to each other's bedroom, and then he like disappears in the. It is. It is a gem. Like my Indiana Jones ranking is like last is Crystal Skull, then I'll take Raiders, then I'll take Last Crusade, and number one is gonna be Temple of Doom.
I would put probably Last Crusade at the top just because of the father son dynamic. Then Raiders, then Crystal Skull. I have a soft spot for it, and a lot of it is
Okay.
a lot of it's nostalgia. I mean, being
Yeah.
able to see an Indiana Jones movie for the first time when you're 11, that gets to you
Yeah.
no matter
Did you
what.
see it in theaters?
I did. My best friend in school
Nice.
and my mom saw it one weekend, like before school was over, and it was a good time.
Solid. I went with my youth
We were
group
both
way
super
back
big.
when. It was pretty fun.
And Temple of Doom, I never finished when I was a kid or
Really?
really as an adult because it was just too dark.
Oh
And
my
like when you look at the backstory behind Spielberg and Lucas as to the state of mind they were in when they were making the movie, they both had terrible divorces and were just looking at for a way to blow off some steam. That is not a good mindset to make a
god.
movie.
Let's just rip your heart out. I liked Brendan Gleeson in Banshees of Inisherin. I think he's long overdue for an Oscar nomination because like he's like everything Brandon Gleeson does is incredible. He's really, really good. He's probably one of the best supporting characters in Harry Potter as Mad-Eye Moody. Even though he doesn't have a lot to do, he's very, very memorable. And he's just a great on-screen character actor. And I'm glad to see this nomination. I didn't see Causeway. I don't know who Brian Tree Henry is. Uh,
I'll get into that
but
later.
who is that? Tell me more.
Brian Tyree Henry, you know him as either Paperboy from Atlanta, where he plays Gambino's
Hmm.
cousin, the rapper that he's trying to make a
Oh,
success.
okay.
He was the black gay guy in Eternals, one of the only decent
Oh,
characters
then I
within
know. Yeah,
the
yeah.
guy that invents
Was
everything.
he in the first 20 minutes of that movie? Because we turned it off.
He
I'm not kidding
probably
you.
was, but Causeway is the slow burning drama where he and Jennifer Lawrence are soldiers coming back from their tour, and I think they both have PTSD and develop
Hmm.
a friendship or romance as a result. I'm not entirely sure. It was one of those TIFF movies I skipped just because
Hmm.
Jennifer Lawrence is so opinionated that every time I watch her on screen, even though she's a good actress, it's a Brie Larson thing where I just see you and you want me to just see you. And that's not what I go for with movie stars of this caliber. But Brian Tyree Henry, again, is one of the more nuanced actors that doesn't really get enough credit. I fucking love that Judd Hirsch got nominated for The Fablemans. In fact, in my original review, I said it would be great if this guy got Oscar nominated because it's one of those 10-minute performances that leaves a huge lasting impression. And for those who haven't seen The Fablemans, Judd Hirsch is basically an estranged uncle of the Steven Spielberg character. He gives some insight into how Spielberg's mother is a very passionate artist, but has kind of sidestepped her family with the intent of pursuing her dreams. And when Hirsch's character, who is the crazy uncle that nobody likes to talk about because he's just he's the weird but insightful dude that nobody gives credit, he looks at Spielberg and says, you should pursue something that you are creative at and talented at, but just know that there are going to be some consequences. And then the last third, Spielberg's character does face those consequences. And it's such a great moment. I had to do a double take just to know that it was Judd Hirsch because I'm just sitting there going, that can't be. Like, I didn't even know he was still alive.
Yeah, you were in Taxi in the 80s, and then Independence Day. How are you still living? Did the aliens not abduct you?
And he was amazing in Ordinary People, where he got his first Oscar nomination.
We talked about that film last week.
Yeah, we did, and I'm still grateful of that. Barry Keoghan.
Do you own the Blu-ray of Ordinary People, or like a disc or anything? Or...
I wish I did.
I feel like you did. Like I owned all the ones that I picked last week, so.
I rented it for Family Day a few years back, just for myself, and good thing it was just for myself because I would have flooded the entire house with how much I cried during the last third of it. Barry Keoghan was good in Banshees, but I'm not really sure if this is an Oscar-worthy performance. I will say this: the character got better on repeat viewing, but a part of me thinks that it's the writing of the character that stands out as opposed to the performance, because he's kind of the village idiot, but there's more going on under the surface that people just.
I'm gonna be honest. I forgot he was in the movie.
That kept
not
happening.
Very memorable to me. He's not like, oh, you stand out. I'm like, no, you're the guy from Killing of a Sacred Deer. You can't do shit.
Whoa, hold on. You don't remember them sneaking into the dad's house where he is naked, passed out, and if they
he's the naked guy. I just didn't look at his face.
His dad's the naked guy who's also a shithead of a cop.
I don't know. He didn't hit it for me there. I'm glad to see Everything Everywhere All at Once nominated. I like that. I like that a lot.
And again, like, Ke Huy Quan stands out the most because you really wish more people like him would exist in real life. You want to see more optimistic people who are just always smiling, always willing to shake your hand and get to know you within an instant. And then later on in the movie, where we understand that it's not him just being this gullible, naive, innocent person. It's really a defense mechanism, because if you go around being the exact opposite, where you just assume the worst in people, even if you're right about it, it's going to fuck with your head and your mindset's going to become a lot worse. You're going to become worse as a person. And that altogether, it's just a better idea to be optimistic towards life and be kind to people, even when they're not kind to you, because chances are there's something going on that you might be able to help out with in the end. And as overrated as the movie is, I fucking loved his character.
Who do you think's got this? I got my winner. Who do you think's gonna win it?
For me, it's either Gleason or Kwan, in all honesty. I mean, Gleason's interesting, is that he's playing the one character in Banshees who is technically a good person through and through, but he's so stubborn in the fact that he's willing to sacrifice the one thing that he's trying to accomplish just to prove a point. And you're just sitting there going, dude, why are you doing this?
I think Judd Hirsch takes it for Fablesman.
Really?
Because my best picture is going to be Fablesman, if that's in there, and it always wins Best Supporting Actor. Best Supporting Actor went to... I really think it could be Judd Hirsch. I think because the Academy will nominate itself.
There've been a couple examples. I mean, in Ordinary People, the kid who was technically the main character but got into the Best Supporting Actor category, he technically won No Country for Old Men. That happened with the movie and Javier Bardem. So I guess that does happen every now and again, now that you point that out.
So now we got actress in a leading role, and this category I'm not quite sure because I've seen 4 out of the 5 movies here. I just haven't seen To Leslie. I haven't been able to find it.
I had
Um,
no idea this even
I couldn't
existed.
find it. I heard it's incredible. I saw an interview on The Big Thing with Christian Harloff, and Andrea Rosenberg was just talking about it, and apparently it's phenomenal and groundbreaking and make you cry. So we got Kate Blanchett for Tar, Anna De Armas for Blonde, and Razzies, you fucking suck. This movie.
We'll
Okay,
get
okay,
to that.
okay. I just want to stop and look, Razzies. I'm not saying that Blonde is a great movie. I think it's a very interesting film. Yes, it's long, but it's very artistic. But it's by no means the worst movie of the year. There are worse movies. I've seen many worse performances. This is a different take on it. You didn't like it, so, shut the fuck up.
Well, here's the funny thing about it. When you look at the very specific categories that Blonde is nominated for, it is abundantly clear why it's nominated. It's not because people thought it was a bad movie. It's because it's about a woman who just has like the worst shit happen to her on a repeated basis. In fact, literally one category it's listed as Andrew Dominic and his women problems for Blonde. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, okay, first of all, a woman wrote the novel that this movie is based on, you fucking idiots. And chances are, if this is anything faithful to the book, she would probably be okay with that. Second of all, just the fact that it's based off of a novel, this is one of the rare biopics that actually knows what's going on is utter bullshit. So at least this biopic is actually being honest with the fact that it's completely fake. And the stuff that is true is common knowledge. She was married to people who abused her through and through. The Hollywood system is as fucked up as it is. Well, not as much as it is now. It was a fuck ton worse, but I
Now
mean,
they hashtag Me Too'd Hollywood. Enough.
yeah,
Make people happy.
exactly. Third of all, I love the worst supporting actor categories. The ones from Blonde that were nominated for worst supporting actor are not even that consistent. They're the guys that had that threesome with her in the first third of the movie, the one part of the movie that is actually sexy for one specific reason. Those two guys actually loved her. They actually supported her. They could relate to the pain that she was going through because they'd been down that road themselves. So them being nominated, it's just fucking inconsistent. And not to mention, everybody's just focusing on the fact that they nominated a 12-year-old girl for worst actress for Firestarter,
Oh,
which,
let's just don't be that mean. And then we have Michelle Williams for The Fableman and Michelle Yeoh for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I'm glad Michelle Yeoh finally got an Oscar nom. Let's just go with that.
dude, way to cut off my rant there.
Oh, I thought you were breaking in the middle of that.
No, there's hardly anything to
Anyway,
break on
12-year-old
that.
old girl.
So, look, would I have nominated a 12-year-old girl for worst actress? No, that's kind of in bad taste. And you know for a fact it's probably the director's fault that she gave that bad of a performance. Asking Drew Barrymore for her opinion just because she played that original character, that was just fucking stupid. You knew what her reaction was going to be towards that. But let's be completely honest. When the little kids in the last Airbender movie got nominated and might have actually won, nobody gave a shit about that, mostly because they fucked up Avatar. So the fact that fucking up Firestarter is considered bad taste, that's just fucking priceless. And it just goes to show that the Razzies are popular demand. It has nothing to do with actual taste or quality of content. At
Have
least
you
not
seen
anymore.
Firestarter, the original from '84 or whatever it is?
I haven't heard. I've heard that like it's cheesy in a fun way, but not
Oh my
genuinely
goodness.
good.
It's so long. It feels like 3 movies. So it
Isn't
starts
George
off.
isn't George C. Scott like a Native American hunter or something like that?
Well, we just get a boring movie that feels like it's 3 different segments of a story. Picture, okay, the best way I can explain it is you've seen Logan. It's like a crappy version of Logan, but set in the 80s with ominous tones where you know what's going to happen. It's predictable. There's some bad guy who's like, I need the girl with her superpowers. And it's so dull. I watched it in 3 parts. I'm like, I'm going to get through this. This is a stupid, whatever, classic, right?
Yeah.
Go watch Christie. Go watch Rubber. Rubber is a better movie. Just go watch Carrie. Just go watch any other Stephen King movie. Watch
And
The
I would
Green Mile.
love
Watch anything else. It's just
I
dull.
just love that the Razzies threw everyone under the bus when it comes to Blonde, except for Ana de Armas, who is like the only one getting slack for any of this, which Just goes to show how fucking inconsistent the majority of the shit is. And props to Ana de Armas for defending the movie and saying it had to happen to show this side of Marilyn Monroe. Props to Andrew Dominic as a director for standing by his work. Not to mention his work, whether you like it or not, is different from anything that you've seen with a movie like this.
I do want to talk about Kate Blanchett and Tar because that was an incredible performance.
Oh, I loved it.
It
And
was
honestly, out of
great.
all these women, she would get my pick for this because this is not a regular performance the Academy nominates, or at least nowadays. It used to be pretty common for characters like this to be nominated, where they're essentially asking you to root for a scumbag, and a scumbag that ties into relevant culture today, where I don't know. I can't remember if the movie really leaves it open ended as opposed to whether or not she actually did take advantage of those women. But I
I don't
mean,
know.
she probably did. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the final outcome. But you also feel bad for rooting for such a slimy person because the movie makes it abundantly clear that regardless of her ethics, she actually works her ass off in her field of profession, is extremely knowledgeable. The first 10 minutes where she's very humble about her accomplishments and making it clear that there are other better composers before her. And that classroom sequence where she goes Jordan Peterson on that kid's ass was just God. I was just pumping my fist the first time I saw that in the theater because I'm just sitting there going, thank you. Thank you. I'm so sick of kids like this.
And I mean, you've got. I really hope Michelle Yeoh wins, just because I think Michelle Yeoh is really underrated. Really, Michelle Yeoh has done some really great roles. Everything from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, to Tomorrow Never Dies. Just so much in her career. But I do think Kate Blanchett with Tar, that movie doesn't work without her. The whole movie is Kate Blanchett just being this terrible human being. I love the twist ending. I love her character. Every twist and turn, I'm like engaged in this like almost 2.5 hour movie of just her acting. And also this year, the other reason I think she takes it is because Memoria. Memoria is a weird long piece of something, but Kate Blanchett is brilliant in it. It's like they got 10-minute long shots of like car alarms and her getting up. It's got something to do with aliens. I don't know. But she's really good in it, but the movie is weird.
Was that Kate Blanchett or Tilda Swinton? Because they get mixed
Oh, I'm
up a
mixing it up.
lot.
That's Tilda Swinton. That's I
They
gotta
do
look that
get
up.
they do get mixed up a lot. They do have a similar complexion, but
Okay, I gotta look it up.
with Tar, it doesn't work without Kate Blanchett or Todd Field as the writer and director because his work behind the camera
Oh, it is Tilda
definitely.
Swinton.
Oh, it
It's Tilda
was
Swinton.
okay.
I got them mixed up. Everyone's gonna be like, he doesn't know his movies. You are correct.
Yeah, but people have mixed the two of them up before a bunch of times. It's like when people mix up Kim Basinger with Michelle Pfeiffer. My dad did that during the Gangster's Paradise music video,
Oh, she was.
which
I
is,
I only know the parody
gee, imagine my surprise there.
with the shirt.
With that exact shirt. Oh my god. That is unbelievable. But I wouldn't be upset if Michelle Yeoh won because this is a different role for her. She's usually the wise mentor or the competent assistant, where here she's just a regular woman whose life is a mess. And she has to figure out how to get her life back into shape and repair just about all the damage that she has done, which doesn't sound like that hard of a thing to do. But given the hole that she's dug herself in, and of course the multiverse that is existing around her, it's easier said than done. And I do like the fact that the movie does hold her feet to the fire when she looks at the other multiverses and says, "Oh my god, well, I really wish this was my life." And I'm just sitting there going, "You're a dick for thinking that, but I would be too." And I have had thoughts like that before. She's just a relatable character wondering what could have been.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting
Fuck's
category.
sake.
We got some lag delays here.
Yeah, I genuinely don't understand what's going on
Oh,
here.
we're gonna get through this. This is gonna work.
I know, I know.
Let's actress, best supporting actress. We've got Angela Bassett for Wakanda Forever, The Money Grab. Hong Chow for The Whale. Carrie Condon for Banshees of Inisherin. Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Stephanie
Shoo.
Shu for Everything Everywhere All at Once. In this category, I think Everything Everywhere at Once is going to cancel itself out.
Honestly, I wouldn't consider either one of these performances Oscar worthy. Jamie Lee Curtis, that really surprised me. And don't get me wrong, her character turned out a lot better than I thought she was going to be. Because, first impression, she's just a bitchy office lady who only cares about the rules and nothing else. And then you get that great moment later on where she bonds with Michelle Yeoh over her own personal setbacks. And classic don't judge a book by its cover mentality that you would not associate with a character like this. But I feel like that's more of the writing and not really Jamie Lee Curtis. And Stephanie Hsu was definitely a really good villain. I will give her that, but it's really out of all the categories this year, I feel like Best Supporting Actress would be the toughest one to pick because I really haven't seen that many performances this year from a supporting actress that I would really consider Oscar worthy. It was really that kind of year because going into it, I just thought, okay, well, other than Carrie Condon for Banshees of Inisherin, which I love that she's getting Oscar consideration because a couple of years ago she was just Trout's daughter-in-law on Better Call Saul, and now she's like in the big leagues with everybody else, and I'm super happy for her on that. And I'm happy that Hong Chow got an Oscar nomination. I thought that she deserved it for Downsizing, but because of the controversy surrounding that character, she never would have gotten
Wait,
consideration in the first
Downsizing, the
place.
Matt Damon movie?
You know what?
I saw that one once. I
I
don't know
liked
what
it.
I think about it.
I liked it. And
So
honestly,
did my sister.
she was my favorite character in the entire movie. And don't get me wrong, it makes sense why people would get upset with her being a cleaning lady with very muffled English, but I loved her defense when people kept saying, "Oh my god, she's playing such a stereotypical character," and she goes, "Yeah, my parents were exactly like that. Are you calling them stereotypical?" And I just sat there and went, but
I
between all of that, she's another character similar to the others that I just mentioned, where she's been through a lot of pain and misery when it came to defecting from her country and the repercussions that surrounded that. But she's still, like Kei Hui Kwan's character, just maintained an optimistic attitude and just left the past behind her, focus on the present, focus on being kind to the other people in her life so that they can better themselves. And that's what made the bond between her and Matt Damon's character so investing for me. But for Downsizing, for the whale, even though she technically had more to do in that than she did in the menu, her character in the menu just stood out to me a hell of a lot more because I work with servers like that who are just completely fed up with insufferable customer demands and the lack of approval from her superiors that she's just slowly, quietly going insane. And that character just felt more relatable. It felt more suspenseful. It felt more hilarious when she was telling the other customers to fuck off in the most polite way, which, again, I know one or two people that would absolutely love to do that in real life.
I mean, I think because of the menu and because of that body of work, it either goes to her for the whale because the menu's really good. I think I'd like. I haven't seen a nomination for it yet, and I'm slightly
That part
disappointed.
really disappoints me because I can see so
Or we
many.
just give it to Angela Bassett because she's a really good actress. The movie itself is very meh, and it's like a funeral watching it without action. It's just like, do you remember? Be sad, be sad, be sad, be sad, be sad, be sad, be sad.
Well,
Stand
in
in the
between
boat,
all
be
the
sad, be sad.
moments
Oh, look,
in
a new Iron Man. But Angela Bassett is very good in this film. Okay, Ironheart, just like do something new. Marvel, also give us a finale. It's really dull, but she's good.
Yeah, it's a funeral in between all the moments where you forget that Chadwick Boseman even existed, which what a fucking great way to pay tribute to him. I mean, wow.
Like, I think because of the menu, I think Hong Chow takes it.
Um, yeah, you know what? I can see that. And she had probably the most theatrical moments in The Whale, partly because her backstory does tie into the pain and misery that led to Brendan Fraser's character being that compulsive of an eater. And her backstory was pretty good. But I remember her monologues and just her overall way of speaking in The Whale to be very loud, as if she's acting on a stage as opposed to acting in front of a camera. And even though she wasn't doing a bad job, it kept taking me out of the experience. And when it
Mm.
comes to Angela Bassett, I'm not surprised at all that she got nominated because out of all the things in Wakanda Forever that were bad, she was probably the one thing that actually improved. Because in the
Mm-hmm.
first one, she was just in the background just because she was an Oscar nominated actress for stuff like What's Love Got to Do with It. And people like Angela Bassett as an actress. I've always found her like loud in a theatrical way in so many other performances. I mean, if you've seen her in that Ryan Murphy show 911, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But here, because the character she's playing just lost her own son, the kingdom, and now it is entirely in her possession. She has to deal with the grief. She has to deal with the international fallout. There were a lot more there were a lot more character opportunities to go with her performance, and she took advantage of every single one of them. And yeah, I don't know. She was the one thing that I actually found tolerable about Wakanda Forever. And you know what? She fully committed to it. Half the sequences you could make the argument were her own grief dealing with Chadwick Boseman's loss, but in my opinion, she found the right balance of like acting and real life tragedy.
She was the best actress in the movie. Shuri was the worst.
I
Uh,
wouldn't I wouldn't go as far as to say that. Namor,
Everyone get
Namor.
out! Everyone get out! I'm sorry, you need to yell louder. That's called acting. Don't whisper quieter. No one can hear you.
I blame the script. I've seen Letitia Wright do better stuff than this. And besides, the
Ugh.
villain was one not very
The
intimidating
villain's not a villain.
whatsoever.
It's freaking Spider-Man 2. Stop making good guys bad guys. Just make a bad guy or a good guy a good guy. I don't care about turns in the third
I'm not
act.
even entirely sure what that conclusion was.
Everyone's got to be loving or hold hands. Fuck it, I don't care. Moving on to animated feature. This one actually, I think I know the winner, but I want it to be something else. So we've got Pinocchio by Del Toro, which is excellent. I've recently watched that.
It was good,
We've
yeah.
got one of my favorite movies this year, Marcel the Shells with Shoes On, which is fantastic.
I still
Another
haven't.
one of so good, so good. Another one of my favorites this year, Puss in Boots, is just as good as the original Shrek. Then we have the Sea Beast, which I've never heard of, and Turning Red can just go away. I don't care.
Please, please.
I think Del Toro takes it because that is an innovative, creative, well done take on Pinocchio. It's not the Disney one. They're not trying to they literally reinvented the wheel while telling the story in stop motion. Del Toro took years to make this. He wanted to wait to make it properly. I mean, like, this is the one. He won for Shape of Water. Who's like, what is your competition? Turning Red? Oh yeah, period pandas. Let's rock.
Why are we in the minority for not liking this movie? I mean,
I
seriously.
like the idea of turning into the panda. I like the characters, but if everyone is just an emoji, I don't care. Anyway,
There's a half hour rant made by us truly on my channel if anybody wants to check that out. The Sea Beast is a Netflix movie that it sounds a lot like Princess Mononoke, just reading the surface of it a little bit.
Oh, I like
But
Princess Mononoke.
well, the same way Avatar kind of rips off Princess Mononoke in that aspect, I think there's a bit
Avatar
of
rips off Dances with Wolves, but
that too, and Fern Gully.
Fern Gully. You didn't see Puss in Boots, did you?
I still haven't seen it, even though there were
So
some
good.
people, even
So
though there are
good.
tons of people who want me to check it out, and I'm probably going to have to after this.
It's got 3 different styles of animation. It's just an absolute
That was kind
blast.
of
It's funny. It's dark. Death is a wonderful villain. Antonio Banderas is fun. The movie works for kids and adults. It's just a really good, well done animated film. It's the best movie since Megamind I've seen animation wise.
I don't doubt that it's universally good for kids and adults, judging by how many friends of mine really like this movie. The reanimation style thing that kind of turned me off because I'm not really sure about every movie following that Spider-Verse or
It's so different from Spider-Verse because Spider-Verse has all these different styles, but Puss in Boots has its own styles that are very separate from Spider-Verse. They may have similarities, but the way they hand draw the giant for the opening sequence or the way they do the animation for certain characters, it's very unique. It's very welcoming to the story. The way their wishes can change with the map in the third. It's just such a well-done movie. So good. Watch Puss in Boots, y'all.
Okay. I haven't seen Marcel the Shell with Shoes, and I really should, because apparently that just warms everybody's heart, and I could
So
not
cute.
believe. Oh, I don't doubt that. I mean, watching the trailer, it didn't like hook me, but it looked good. And the fact that it's considered animation because of the painstaking amount of time it took to stop motion everything, that was pretty impressive. Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is really the only one I've seen through and through and actually liked. I didn't
Mm.
love it. I felt like the side cast was pretty hit and miss, where some characters were really good and some of them were just celebrity names who had just worked with Del Toro in the past. Not to mention, Ron Perlman is extremely underutilized as the Gestapo guy. Like, I'm sorry, but they gave him like nothing to work with.
Yeah, I think it goes to Del Toro because it's profile. Let's
Well,
talk
because
cinema.
he just
Yeah.
loves stories about fascism, and the fact that he incorporated fascist Italy within to the story, it does work. I mean, it does teach kids about the dangers of life and how death is surprisingly inevitable, but also motivates you to like appreciate what you have with the time you do in life, which is a very
Hmm.
interesting and mature message that I really liked and wished a lot more kids' movies would take advantage of.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. There you go. That's what that's about.
Okay.
He's on his last life. He's on his eighth life. Cats have 9 lives. It's super dark. Cinematography. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front. James Friend. Bardo. False Chronicle of Handful of Truth. Darius. Kojini. Elvis. Mandy Walker. Empire of Light, Roger Deakins, and Tar, Florian Hofmeister. Give this to All Quiet on the Western Front. If you have not seen All Quiet on the Western Front, this is, if not better, or even it's equally as good as Saving Private Ryan for cinematography, for sequences, for acting, for blood effects. The quiet moments are just incredibly brilliant, put together, soft moments, and that you have this soft lighting that's natural. Then you have these trenches with these horrific sequences. I haven't seen a better war movie probably since Saving Private Ryan. This is
Wow.
really, 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 really good, and it's a remake. I know I hate remakes, but this is possibly one of the best war movies ever made. It's in my top 10 for last year easily, for 2022. It's absolutely incredible. So you get to see all these war sequences, and it's what you predict from the German side. But there's a particular sequence that haunts my memory to this day. You have two soldiers sitting under this barn tin roof peeling potatoes, these moldy potatoes, trying to have enough to eat. Their army has nothing to eat. And you see this cart come by, these farmers with a younger woman and an older woman. And this soldier looks at the other guy as he's peeling potatoes. Sit down, his peeler. Hands the other guy his gun. He waves, and he just walks off in the distance. There's no exchange of dialogue. He just walks off to hope to find a better life. That is what this movie offers. It's absolutely incredible. I want this to win cinematography. As to Elvis, that's no. Tar, well shot. I just think it's a little too artsy and the shots are too long. Empire of Light, I saw a bit of it. I don't care. It's an old
I
person movie about cinema. It's very in its own head, and
Oh no,
yeah,
there's more to it than that,
I just don't care.
unfortunately. Well, I've only seen Empire of Light and Tar when it comes to this list. A lot of people have been gushing about All Quiet on the Western Front. I just
So good,
haven't had time to
so
check
good.
it out.
Watch
I was thinking about watching Bardo just because it's an
it.
Inarritu movie, but then I
Mm-hmm.
read about how kind of pretentious of a movie it is, and considering it's been nominated for best cinematography, I'm willing to bet like the star of the show is Inarritu, not the cast. But Elvis, why is this on here? Like, it's the editing that everybody remembers, not the actual camera movements. So I don't really follow on that. But Empire of Light, as I was walking out of the theater, the god himself, Roger Deakins, walked past the door like a second
Nice.
after I did. And I just sat there and went, oh my god, I am in the presence of a fucking legend.
He did Skyfall. It's a great movie.
Yes.
The
And
car
Empire
drive, they mentioned that. They solved that plot point. Shut up.
And I will say this, Deakins was probably the best part about Empire of Light because it is a gorgeous movie to look at. It captures 1980s London to perfection.
Mm.
Unfortunately, everything, well, not everything. Olivia Colman was good in it, and the guy that she's romantically involved with, I had never heard of him before, but he did have believable chemistry with her, which is kind of important because there's a huge age gap. But this it's billed as like a love letter to cinema in the vein of Cinema Paradiso. It is not. It is not that kind of movie. It tries to cover Olivia Colman's deteriorating mental health and her backstory that stems from that. It's about her boyfriend, her black young mid-20s boyfriend, and of course the racism of skinheads in 80s London that involves an incredibly ham-fisted climax that was just insufferable to sift through.
I
And
watched about 20 minutes and gave up.
yeah, it's really that kind of movie. And as that was probably the worst screening I went to at TIFF because one lady sat down next to me and then when the movie started, put on like a cloth mask and did this every 30 seconds. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, you are a fucking idiot who gets all of her, not even from CNN. Like CNN wouldn't even say shit this stupid, and it's fucking CNN.
Let me just cough next to you the entire movie. That'll make an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, why are you breathing into my hand? Like there are like 1,000 people in the theater. You are a fucking idiot if you
Stay home if you don't like it. Costume
if you
design.
don't like crowds, stay out of crowds. It's that
Don't
fucking
like crowds.
simple.
Get your groceries delivered. Costume design. We've got Babylon, Black Panther, Elvis, Everything Everywhere at Once, and Mrs. Harris. What do you got?
Um, Out of all the movies I've seen, and knowing for the fact that the Academy just loves to give every award to period pieces, there's a great video essay about how the costume design of Baby Driver visually tells the story through the colors of a character's costume. Like with Baby, he wears like a black jacket and a white shirt underneath because of his black and white views towards morality. But then as time goes by, he starts dressing in more grays. The girlfriend that literally brings color into his life is always wearing like denim and yellow. Jamie Foxx is the more homicidal member of the crew, is always dressed in red, that kind of stuff. And then at the very end, the essayist points out that costume design always goes to the period pieces for how lavish they look and how much they fit the time era, which I mean is technically a harder thing to do because you have to convince the audience that you're looking at something that actually happened in the past. And if we're going by that logic, in my opinion, I think the costume designer for Babylon would probably take it because I've seen the movie twice and I think it's okay at best. It's that kind of movie where you have to really look at the minor details within each scene to figure out like what's really going on, but it's a beautiful looking movie and the costumes not only portray how lavish Hollywood looks, but just how degrading and deplorable life was behind the cameras, where everybody was just partying hard and their dresses could get a little, or technically like A-list and cost hundreds of dollars, but they get them all dirty and grimy with the amount of unadulterated sex, smoking, and just everything that could go wrong on a film set.
Well, I agree with you on this pick because it is Mary Zophres who has been nominated many, many times for everything from La La Land and No Country for Old Men to Tragedy of Macbeth. But she also did the costume design for Crystal Skull. Fun fact. Throwing that out there. um,
Whatever.
yeah, now we're on to Best Director. So we got Banshees of Inisherin, Martin McDonagh. We've got Everything I Want, Daniel Kwan, Daniel Scheidt. The Fablesman, Spielberg. Tar, Todd Fields, and Triangle Sadness, Ruben Ostlund. I like these nominations. I think we're missing a few.
Yeah.
The Menu should be on here. I think The Menu, because that is a fascinating movie. It doesn't work without the director. If I'm looking at Banshees, I think that's a really well put together, straightforward story. Audiences can enjoy it. Old people, young people. I think it hits a lot of ages. It's really well acted. I don't think there's anything in that movie that's far too silly or takes you out of the movie. I think it's just really well put together, so that's big contender. Everything Everywhere All at Once, great film. I don't think it wins. I think it's so well done, but I don't think it wins. I think it probably goes to Todd Field for Tar.
You think so?
I think Tar takes best directing. And I say that because that movie is all the director's impressions and shots and everything, as opposed to Fablesman, which is more of a story piece. And as much as I love Triangle of Sadness, I don't think it's going to win. I love that movie. It's funny, but I don't think it's going to win.
Would I be wrong in saying that Triangle of Sadness got nominated just because it's another like eat the rich anti-elite type of thing that you get with Parasite or something like that?
I mean, I think it's a hilarious, dark comedy. Gilligan's Island meets Love Boat. It's ridiculous. It's funny. It's dark. I mean, it
I
does
thought it
have
was
the
like a
drop
Lord
down
of
of
the
the rich.
Flies. I thought it was a Lord of the Flies
Well, it
kind of
starts
deal.
off on the boat like Love Boat. It's ridiculous, but then it goes full Gilligan's Island with a Lord of the Flies elements. I just love that film. I
Like
really like
I
Triangle of
haven't
Sadness.
seen it, so I can't really take
Highly
your word
recommend.
for it.
But
A
I'm
part of
picking
me,
Tar.
I would love if Tar would win this out of all the nominees. I am kind of wondering if they're going to give it to Spielberg just for the way that he recreated his own childhood. And say what you will about the movie, but like for the first two thirds, it was amazing to watch. And there are so many moments where he shows like where he got certain iconic images that would end up in his movies. I mean, his Boy Scout friends riding bicycles down the street while they're coming up with a movie. You know where ET comes from. The moment where his friends want to make a war movie, just like one that they saw at the theater, but because of the marriage trouble that his parents are going through, he makes this incredibly depressing, realistic war film in the vein of Saving Private Ryan that also kind of takes shots at himself for what I said earlier about Temple of Doom just being an act of venting frustration artistically, which you got to give him credit for actually calling himself out on this shit.
Yeah, so let's get to. I'm skipping docs. We haven't seen the docs. We're not covering it this year. That was the most boring thing. We might do the Oscar animated shorts because those are a blast. Those are fun.
Well, I
Maybe,
mean,
maybe.
the last year that we tried doing that, I went in just to see if there were any shorts that I liked, and there was really only one,
Hmm.
some Russian one about a ballet dancer and a
Oh, that one was
boxer.
nice. Yeah,
That
yeah,
was a really good short.
yeah. I mean, there's the Oscar animated shorts is also a lot shorter to watch. But let's get to film editing.
Oh, and the Chilean one where it was stop motion, but the dolls were all
Oh
porcelain, and it was about an
yeah.
assassin. Like that was fucked up.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff in that category. Film editing, Banshees of Inisherin. I think that's pretty cool. Elvis, hell no. That no. That's a music video. We're not doing that. Paul, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Paul Rogers, Tar, uh, Monica there, and Top Gun Maverick. I think that film editing is probably gonna go to. I think this is the one category Everything Everywhere at Once could win.
I can see that happening, but that's the thing. Like the editing really threw me off both times that I watched it because it was another one that I saw twice just to see. Okay,
Mm,
like were my expectations too high? Should I at least give this another go? And there were so many moments where it just felt utterly jarring. My main problem that I have with the movie is that it's exposition monologue after exposition monologue surrounding what the multiverse is and how it operates. And when it cuts back and forth between multiverses, it just did nothing for me. It was kind of like I tell people this all the time, but like at least Multiverse of Madness, they spent time in a multiverse, and it was an imaginative one that you would associate with a Doctor Strange movie. Where with this one, they weren't bound by source material. They had an opportunity to like take full advantage of their premise, and I didn't really think they did that. If it were up to me, I would give this honestly to Top Gun.
I think Top Gun's gonna win in sound and sound design, like full sound, because they have the coolest. Yeah, I think its only competition is all quiet for the
But here's the
warfare.
thing, like editing together the flight sequences, that was what really made the movie so
Yeah.
exciting. Because like the camera work, you know for a fact Tom Cruise is going to do all of this stuff practically, and props to the other actors for doing the exact same. But it's how you cut back and forth between the planes trying to shoot at each
Mm.
other and cutting back and forth from like wide shots of the planes to like the close-ups of the actors in the cockpit. It brings the tension of the movie to the full front.
Yeah, we'll skip international feature film because I've only seen one, two.
Actually, well,
Have you seen more of them? Because we got
I
Far from Western
haven't.
Fronts. I've seen EO. I haven't seen Argentina 1985. I haven't seen Close, and I haven't seen The Quiet Girl.
Well, here's the thing. I haven't seen any of them either, but I am extremely pissed off, like Chris Gore of Film Fret, that RRR was not even considered for Best International Feature, which I genuinely don't understand because this was probably the movie that made people realize that Bollywood movies are not like exclusively to Indian audiences. Like anyone can enjoy them. Any movie can have a specific set of genres. In RRR's case, it's your typical action thriller in the vein of Taken, but it's also a buddy comedy. It can be a musical, a family drama, and this large scale Lawrence of Arabia esque war thriller all at once. And it balances out those tones so seamlessly. And on top of that, it's just a better blockbuster than most American blockbusters, which is interesting because the director S.S. Rajamouli is like a huge fan of Hollywood and definitely has taken influence from some American classical cinema.
Yeah, I saw him meeting a couple famous directors, and they were like so impressed. I saw Dan Murrell like raving about RRR. Like I've heard really good things, so that
You
shows
gotta
how
you
good it
gotta
is.
check it out, man.
I
Like
gotta see it one of these days.
you gotta set aside 3 hours, but like it's totally worth it.
I watched Lawrence of Arabia, Ten Commandments, and Das Boot back to back on Christmas. I can do this.
Then that'll be no problem for you.
Makeup and hairstyling. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Batman, Black Panther, Elvis, and The Whale. I think they're probably going to give this one to The Whale because of the fat suit.
That is probably, yeah, that's probably the case. Unless Black Panther beats them out for one thing, I will admit, like the costumes in Wakanda Forever, they were well done and above average for a Marvel movie, in that it didn't look like a generic superhero movie. And part of that is because, to their credit, they do expand a little bit on the culture of what Wakanda is really like. And of course, with the underwater civilization, whatever they're called, because like those underwater
Fish
soldiers,
people,
their
avatars, I don't know.
designs were really cool. That one henchman who was like wearing a hammerhead shark skull on the top of his head as a battle helmet, that was fucking cool.
Yeah, Stallone was a shark and he never got nominated. Uh,
He was CGI, so what are you gonna
yeah,
do?
so are most of the costumes. Best music, original score. We've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Babylon, Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere at Once, and my winner to pick, John Williams, because he's John Williams for the
Yeah,
Fablesman.
but he's been nominated so many times without winning, and people have been saying this since Force Awakens. His musical quality has been kind of dripping lately.
I don't know. I always really enjoy every score he does, even if I don't like the movie. His score
Truth
like
be
blows me
truth be
away.
told, I don't really remember the music all that much from the Fablemans.
I did not see the Fablesman, but John Williams always wins. That's what I like to say.
When Here's the thing, I said this in my Babylon review. Justin Hurwitz is my pick for original
Oh,
score
okay.
because I'm still listening to some of the songs from
Oh,
Babylon afterwards. I mean
alrighty.
that one big jazz number that Margot Robbie dances to in the trailer, like that's like La La Land quality in regards to
Hmm.
jazz music. Like it is extremely good, and there are two or three other songs that I think are just as up to par. Even though,
Hmm.
like a lot of movies, they tend to remix the same songs over and over again with like different beats in the background. And this movie's kind of guilty of that. But
Hmm.
other than Carter Burwell for Banshees of Inisherin, which I had no idea that was even Carter Burwell, but
Indeed.
it's it's Celtic music, so like it's already gonna sound pretty awesome.
Hmm. Then we have Best Original Song, Applause from Tell It to the Woman by Diane Warren. Definitely seen that movie. Hold My Hand by Lady Gaga from Top Gun. Lift Me Up by Rihanna from Black Panther. Natu Natu from RR, Triple R. Got that nomination in there. And This Is Life. I really don't know with this category. There's not like most years, if there's a standout Disney film, like we don't talk about Bruno or Let It Go, that's always going to win. But this one's just sort of like, I don't know, it's a toss up. I really, really don't have an opinion on this category, to be honest.
Um, I I know I've heard the song "Hold My Hand," but that was like right at the beginning of the credits, so I wasn't actually listening to that. And that's the thing about a lot of Oscar-winning songs; they tend to be like during the credits, where it's technically in the movie, but nobody actually remembers. Like Elton John won for his version of "Can You Feel the Love Tonight," but that's
Hmm.
playing like right at the beginning of the credits, where most people just turn off the cassette and everything. I can kind of see Lift Me Up getting considered just because chances are it's that song that makes you feel sad about T'Challa's
Hmm,
death.
that's
But
true.
I am also listening to Natu Natu on a regular basis. It's not the lyrics that makes it a good song. It's really the musical composition itself. And it's probably going to be like the iconic moment from the movie. It takes place at this fancy party where the British folk who have occupied India are residing. And our two main Indian characters challenge all of the rich guys to a dance off. But
Nice.
there's also, it also does tie into the story because one of those guys is on a mission to like rescue this child that was abducted from his village. He has to make an impression. He's also trying to fall in love with the governor's niece or something. That relationship really wasn't established. Neither is that romantic relationship because neither one of them like speak the same language, which that was awkward, but like it was intentionally awkward. They knew for a fact that this wasn't going to work. But in regards to that scene alone, I would pick Natu Natu as winning best song.
Fair. Let's move on to sound. We will do Best Picture last because that's the big one. All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: Way of Water, Batman, Elvis, and Top Gun: Maverick. I give it to Top Gun because that's a
Yeah,
really good sounding movie. I think that All Quiet on the Western Front is a really strong contender. But other than that, like I think like the war movie or the plane movie takes it because I mean Ford v Ferrari won Best Sound. And that's about racing cars. So, you know, you got to pick the big, loud machines. What are your thoughts on sound?
I would also give it to Top Gun Maverick, and if not, I would give it to personally the Batman.
Hmm, fair
Because
enough.
the sounds all have to sound authentic, but they have to have the that like comic book movie flash to them. Like when he's kicking the shit out of people, like the punches have to sound good. The cars during that amazing car chase that is still the highlight of the movie,
That is the best part.
crashing through windows or just throwing people into walls. All of that has to sound gritty and realistic, but again, have a little bit of flair to it.
Hmm. Then we have Best Visual Effects, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Batman, Black Panther, Top Gun Maverick, and the winner, Avatar: Way of Water. You know what everyone's saying about that movie? Great visual effects, pretty dull story. Great visual effects. It's in IMAX 3D. If Avatar: Way of Water doesn't win, I'm going to be really, really surprised.
I'll be blown away, assuming that the Academy has learned a lesson about any of this. Um, Look, obviously Avatar is going to win, but if it were up to me, I would give it to the Batman just for the exact same reasons I gave it to Sound. Top Gun Maverick was more practical effects as opposed to visual effects, which was they were still great. Don't get me wrong, but Wakanda Forever, the effects were better than the first one, but I wouldn't still call them good. Like
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, the effects in Multiverse of Madness were more impressive because for one, they actually tied into the story where the CGI delved into like the horror atmosphere. I mean, that sequence where she's trapped in the mirror realm, like that would not have worked without the CGI
Mm-hmm.
being that top notch.
That's fair. I mean, Doctor Strange would be a good nomination. We've got writing for Best Adapted Screenplay, All Quiet on the Western Front, your favorite movie ever, Glass Onion and Knives Out Mystery, Living, Top Gun Maverick, and my pick to win, Women Talking, because it's not really nominated for anything else. People are talking about this movie. They cannot get enough of Women Talking.
Gee, I wonder why on that level, but thanks for remembering how much I loved Glass Onion and just
I know. I saw
what a
your review, and you're like, it
tremendous
was like if you did a worst list of the year, it'd be on there.
what a tremendous step down from the original Knives Out. Like I like the first Knives Out.
I
The
do.
political shit just it doesn't hold up anymore, but I mean, it's the murder mystery that keeps it engaging. This one just hits you over the fucking head with just how you are supposed to think and feel as a human being, brought to you by rich people who have had to suffer very little in comparison to the rest of us. Love that they're the ones lecturing us about this shit, even
They
though,
they did this exact same themes in Triangle of Sadness with doing it with the commentary, and it didn't beat you over the head.
okay, that part is good to know because I don't know anybody else that has seen Triangle of Sadness, but I
So
mean,
good.
The first 10 minutes, it's pandemic metaphor after pandemic metaphor. And I'm just sitting
Okay.
there going, I go to movies to avoid this shit. Like, tell me
When
you
I
guys
was
did not watch movies over and over again to like get the stress off. Like, how are you, Ryan Johnson? You are such a fucking twit. And
I
like
liked the
Kate,
first Knives Out. It
this
was
should
good.
this should not be Glass Onion should not be nominated for best adapted screenplay just on the basis of how Kate Hudson's character is written. I mean, my God, Donkey from Shrek, Ralph Wiggum, Patrick Starr, Jerry from Rick and Morty, they are all smarter than this dumb bleach blonde bimbo who thinks that calling someone Jewy is a metaphor, is like slang for calling someone poor. Like, what? That doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. I haven't seen Glass Onion yet. It's
She
it's
like
on my list of
wears
movies to figure out what's going
her
on because I would
face
pay
her
for it.
face mask is like those spider stocking thingies, and I'm just sitting there going, you clearly don't even know who you're criticizing here. Like, she dresses up as Beyonce for Halloween, and I'm just sitting there going, okay, Paula Dean was like 10 years ago. Like, I'm not saying this shit doesn't happen. I'm not saying people like her don't exist, but like to this extent and this fucking idiotic.
I mean, he made The Last Jedi, so we can't be too mad at him.
Yeah, actually, we can.
Who do you think? Who do you think is gonna win it for best adapted screenplay?
Well, I'm not really going by the basis of who I think is gonna win, just because I really haven't seen. Well, I'm surprised Top Gun Maverick actually got nominated, but I am happy.
Mm,
And it's my favorite out of any of these, mainly because I haven't
mm.
seen Living or All Quiet on the Western Front yet. And I'm not planning on seeing Women Talking because I already know what's going to happen. I already know what I'm supposed to think about these characters and about the real world. And it's just, Doug Walker put it best when he reviewed the first couple episodes of Velma. You think you're trying to be really important by talking about these certain subjects, but these subjects are being talked about by everybody. So not only does it not feel new, it's not that interesting anymore because you
Yes,
know
but here's the
exactly what they're
difference
going to say.
between Velma and Women Talking. Velma is internationally hated. Women Talking as Frances McDormand has a redeeming quality. She's a very good actress.
Well,
And it's got
yeah,
Ben Winshaw.
obviously.
He's very good. There's some good people in that movie.
I'm just saying Doug Walker put it best about what's really wrong with movies and TV these days, where they think that they're being so important by regurgitating the exact same talking points.
Mm.
And like it's going to take a few years, but eventually they're going to have to accept the fact that this is not new ground anymore.
Yeah, so you give it to Top Gun. Nice. Then we got original screenplay. Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fablesman, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness. I'm personally torn in this category.
Yeah,
There's a
this
lot of good stuff here. This is the best category so far. I think we've got to. 'Cause I love Banshees of Inisherin. It's very original. It's very funny. It's very dark. I like Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's this quirky multiverse thing we've discussed. The Fablesman, I think, is going to be out. Just put that one to the side. Tar is a weird, odd, strange art house film, and Triangle of Sadness is hysterical. You've got so many different types of films in here. I would love to see it go to Triangle of Sadness or Everything Everywhere All at Once, because I think this is where Everything Everywhere All at Once can really shine. Because if you look at best screenplay, that's where you get the oddballs. Like that's where what's the one? Get Out won best original screenplay. That's where Spike Lee wins stuff. This is where the fun happens. This is where the oddballness just goes. Yes, we accept your weirdness. Let's rock. I think everything could do it.
Everything is definitely going to be a top contender. I'm not really sure why Fablemans is really up there because as I said before, the first two thirds are really good. Like watching where he got his inspiration for filmmaking, how passionate he was growing up as a kid, how he got his entire family involved, whether they wanted to or not. That's just the stuff that film nerds love to see, especially when it's one of their favorite filmmakers. But the last third, where he's sulking about how hard his parents' marriage is on the rest of the family, how they've moved to a new home, how all of a sudden anti-Semitic all of his students are towards him, that comes completely out of nowhere. And they repeat these exact same scenarios over and over again. I'm just sitting there going, did you forget what we came here to watch? like I felt the last third really derailed things where it went from being a great movie to just being good. So I don't think it really deserves to be up here.
Mm.
With Tar, it's tricky because you have to write certain scenes that are drawn out without music, without them feeling boring. As I said earlier, you got to come up with very compelling reasons to like this character when you know for a fact that in real life you would just walk away from her the second you she comes into your sight. And with Banshees, not only does it have to play out the simple story of a friendship falling apart and what it has to do with the rest of the village, you got to tie in the Irish Civil War metaphors. You got to give each character an equal stake, even if they're not involved within the friendship. And it has to switch from being comedy to drama, no matter how dark it is, within a split second. And it has to feel completely natural.
Mm.
So I think McDonough had it tougher with Banshees of Inisherin, and in my opinion, it pays off a little bit more. I mean,
Hmm.
that bit where he takes Cullum's musical partner and tells him that his dad has been ran over, like people in the theater did not know how to feel about that when it happened, but I'm just sitting there going, holy shit. Can more movies be this fucking twisted? So like I
There
would
are. You have to watch horror films.
no, I mean genuinely good ones.
Oh, okay, yeah, because there's lots of messed up movies that are
Like
just
for
bad.
me, I'd give it to McDonough or for
Mm.
Todd Field. Both of these guys
Mm.
have been long deserving of an Oscar throughout their careers.
Let's give them both an Oscar. Let's make it a tie. All right,
That I don't think that's happened since Streisand and that other lady when they got Best Actress.
Oh, for that was probably going to be for The Stars Born in '76 or whatever year that was, right?
Maybe I'm not entirely
Whatever she
sure.
was nominated for. So now we're on to Best Picture. We have All Quiet on the Western Front, Avatar: The Way of Water, Banshees of Inisherin, Elvis, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, The Fablesman, Tar, Top Gun, Triangle of Sadness, and Women Talking. Who do you think? Let's just take a couple out of the equation. Let's take two out of the equation. Who do you think's not going to win?
Well, Elvis is sure as shit not going to win,
Which one?
and um,
I'd take
well,
Way of Water
if
out.
Avatar didn't win the first time, what do you think the odds are that it really has a chance now?
I would take because I would take Avatar and I would take Elvis out of the equation.
Okay, so we're in agreement on that.
Yeah, and then I would then eliminate Women Talking after
Yeah.
that myself, and then I would eliminate Triangle of Sadness, as sad as that is, and I would eliminate Tar. As much as I love Tar, I would eliminate it.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from on that.
And then I'd eliminate Top Gun, and it would be between Banshees, All Quiet, Everything Everywhere, and The Fablesman. For
I
me.
don't know. I feel like people would have more appreciation for Top Gun as opposed to Banshees. Because don't forget, like it's the producers that vote for. It's always the people who are involved with these categories that vote on these subjects. Like directors vote for best directors, sound editors for best
Hmm.
sound. So when it comes to the producers, that's where things get really tricky. And as much as Top Gun Maverick feels like an obligatory nomination, I am glad that they went that extra step because I mean, Top Gun Maverick was fucking awesome.
It's great. Saw it
And
twice.
out of all the yeah, so did I. And out of all the movies that are listed here, it was the one that I had the most fun watching. So if it were up to me, I would give it to Top Gun Maverick. And I feel like it has some competition like when it comes I do think that Banshees would is definitely going to be competitive and given how much people love All Quiet on the Western Front and don't even compare it to the originals, which I've only seen vaguely in grade 10 history class.
Great film. Great film.
And it was and the stuff that I did see was good. I think we left off where the guy had just killed an enemy soldier and he felt
Hmm.
bad about it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think like Fablesman is definitely a top contender because this is a movie about making a movie about one of the greatest directors of all time. I think it's a bunch of nonsense and bullshit, but like he hasn't been great since Saving Private Ryan. Okay,
No,
he's
but
been
like
meh.
the
Yeah.
era where all the homages come from, and just the fact that it's directing
Hmm.
wise, it's old school Spielberg. His exact same techniques are there. The exact same emotions that you're supposed to get from each scene are all there. The last 5 minutes alone, where Spielberg is meeting John Ford, who is played amazingly by David Lynch, which
Legendary director, by the way. If you've not seen Stagecoach, go watch Stagecoach.
like David Lynch as John Ford was just amazing. And I knew that was a real life event because there was a John Ford documentary I had to watch in media class, and Spielberg gave an interview describing that exact same story. And as it played out, I just sat there and went, "Oh my god, he's doing this word for word. That is fucking amazing."
But do not count out Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a strong award season contender. If this won Best Picture, not mad. Just saying it could.
I'd be okay with that. Like as I said, I felt like there was more. There was a little bit more that they could have done, but at the same time, the parts that are good, they really stand out.
I think Fablesman's going to take it, but who do you think will win Best Picture?
Honestly, I could just pull a name out of a hat and it would make sense by this point.
Is it The Devil All the Time? No, just kidding.
Oh, sure, whatever.
That got Oscar nominated. Anyway,
Wait, did it?
yeah, I got like Best Adapted Screenplay or something.
Wait, hold on. I gotta
The
double
Devil All the
check
Time
that.
got something.
Well, I mean, I don't doubt that it got something because barely anything came out in 2020, so it's really hard to tell. I don't think so. Like, I haven't found
I feel like
anything.
it got like something. People are like
Well, like
so hyped about that
we
movie.
all wanted to think that Robert Pattinson would have gotten a nomination for it, which I mean, as much as we hated it, if he got nominated for that movie, I would have been fine.
Nominate him for Batman. He's a really good Batman.
I am kind of disappointed that he wasn't at the very least considered. Like my what if scenario, I didn't put him on
Hmm.
there, even though I probably should have.
So there's a bunch of nominations I think we're missing here.
Oh, there are a ton of.
Give me throw me some out there of things you're like that didn't get nominated. It should have.
Okay, so
Sounded too menacing.
my what if scenarios I got here, if I were to pick best actor nominations, I would give it to Tom Cruise for Top Gun Maverick,
Hmm.
Ram Charan for RRR, because I felt like out of the two main characters, his was the most complex, and the twists surrounding his character were extremely unpredictable. He had to play so many different personalities all at once. Colin Farrell for Banshees of Inisherin, Idris Elba for 3,000 Years of Longing. I really loved his work on that, and I would consider like top tier in regards to his filmography. And as you said, Mark Rylance for the outfit. He was amazing in that one. And it was unlike, I shouldn't say unlike, there were similarities to his Bridge of Spies character in that you don't really know what he's thinking about. But the scenario that he's in, where he has to play mind games on literally every person within the room and like not give anything away, that's hard for any actor to do. And he made it look easy.
I would throw in there Pete Davidson for Marmaduke. No, just kidding. No, I would give Ralph Fiennes a nomination as well as what's her name from the menu? What's her written name?
So I
The
would
girl.
have Anya Taylor Joy for Best
Yeah, Anya
Actress.
Taylor Joy. I think she did a really good job. I think she carried. I love it. I like it.
I also would have put Mia Goth for Pearl because like
Oh yes,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
I don't like X, but Pearl was fantastic. I just bought it on Blu-ray yesterday,
Oh
and
nice.
like the fact that she co-wrote the movie just goes to show how much she loves the character, her
Mm,
devotion to horror, because she's becoming a horror actress and a very good one at that. But
yeah.
and like that 8-minute monologue, I'm willing to bet she wrote herself because she
Mm.
made it look completely seamless. And she's even already given interviews saying, like, hey, can the Academy give horror a chance more often? Like, sorry, we're not Silence of the Lambs, but we're close.
I would also nominate Brad Pitt for The Lost City. As that movie, he was such a fun supporting character. He had two scenes and then he
Oh,
died. And he was just a blast in that movie. The rest of the movie, take it or leave it, whatever it may be, but Brad Pitt was great. He was so good in it.
that would be like a supporting actor
Yeah, best
wise.
supporting actor for Brad Pitt.
Okay, so of all the people that didn't get supporting actor, I had Ethan Hawke for the Black Phone. I absolutely loved him in the Black Phone. And he had the tough,
Hmm.
like Robert Pattinson did have to act with a mask on for like 2.5 hours of the 3 hour movie. But Ethan Hawke, aside from one scene, you never really see his face, but he has to come off so intimidating and sadistic in a Pedro Pascal Mandalorian kind of way, and he did a great job with that. I also put Ray Fiennes for Best Supporting
Yeah.
Actor on the menu just because it's more or less Anya Taylor-Joy's show.
Yeah.
And this performance made me cry. I'm not afraid to say this. Mel Gibson in Father Stew delivers some of his best work I've ever seen.
You were talking about seeing that movie that one day when we were out there seeing whatever film. Yeah.
It was
You said it was pretty good.
I thought it was okay. Like it's a musical biopic, not about a musician, and that was really the big problem with the film. The fact that it was an R-rated Christian drama, that was really something. And I do give Mark Wahlberg credit for doing something different. It was a passion project that he wanted to do for the longest time. The theater experience for that was interesting because it was Easter Sunday. And for the first half of the movie, it was me and these two incredibly annoying high school girls. I don't understand why they were in the movie, but like once they left, I had the whole theater to myself, and that made the movie much more tolerable. But Mel Gibson plays very similar to his Bloodfather character, where he's not technically a good guy, but he is trying to get his act together.
I would also say you could nominate Paul Dano for The Fablesman because Paul Dano's a really good actor.
He was
and then
good.
I'm gonna pull a controversial pick right out of here. Best animated feature: Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. I love that. I watched it. I've been doing this journey of like Beavis and Butthead. I missed so much as a child. It was such a dumb, fun movie. That should be nominated. It's just a good time.
My dad was King of the Hill and King of the Hill only when it comes to Mike Judge, so I never got to
King
see
of the Hill's
that.
good. Oh, and you know what we're missing? One thing I think that we need to put in for Best Director and Best Picture: Decision to Leave. I really liked that movie.
I would have been okay if Park Chan-wook got some credit for that one. That was the first movie at TIFF that I actually really liked from beginning to end, and Park Chan-wook actually being at the screening was pretty cool. I don't know if it would have been like my favorite directing job, but I would have been okay if he had gotten selected for that.
I think it was really good.
When it comes to supporting actress, again, like that was the toughest one for me to think of any possibilities. Because like Carrie Condon, I knew she was going to get it. Hong Chow, like I said before, I would have preferred her work in The Menu over The Whale. The lady that plays Pearl's mom, Tandy Wright, that was a performance I really enjoyed that makes you question whether she or Pearl is really the villain of the movie. And she was such a sadistic fuck that, like, I don't know, like she was intimidating, she was horrifying, but she was still vulnerable. Madeline McGraw, this one not even 10-year-old girl from the Black Phone who like stole the show as much more, maybe even more than her older brother, the one who's being kidnapped. And she's like this psychic girl that's seeing visions, and she starts to develop her own investigation into where her brother is being held. And she's also kind of the comic relief of the movie. Like when she's praying to Jesus to ask for help, she does it in a very adult way and not very Christian way. That was just hilarious and came out of nowhere. And honestly, again, if I were to decide the Oscars, Best Supporting Actress would be Nicole Kidman for The Northman, hands down.
I mean, Best Actress, you could go Audrey Plaza in Emily the Criminal. It's one of her best performances to date.
I'll take your word for it. I haven't seen it yet.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff that came out. I'd also put Chippendale Rescue Rangers on Best Animated Film.
I haven't seen it, but like some of the animation felt kind of shoddy to me. I hate the fact that it's 3D animation meant to look like 2D. Like, go all the way, guys. Don't be fucking lazy.
There's a reason for that.
No, I don't.
See, one of the Rescue Rangers is 2D, but the other one got plastic surgery to look 3D for the movie.
Yeah, but like have Chip actually be 2D. He doesn't look finished.
I think it was great. It was really funny. It's nice.
I'm judging the animation quality, not the story.
Schaefer,
I know.
And it stars
yeah,
Andy Samberg.
I know.
It's the mother freaking Lonely Island.
I know.
And I would probably give the outfit a nomination for costumes myself.
Costumes, absolutely. And I would have given that to original screenplay because as much as it does feel a little bit theatrical, it's one of those bottle movies where you have to really hide the fact that it is a bottle movie. And in my opinion, the script really does that. It gives plenty of excuses to stay in this one location and leaves a lot of mystery surrounding what's going on the outside. And also, why is the menu not on Best Original Screenplay? I mean,
That's the place where I think it would shine.
because in all honesty, you could not predict where it was going to go. That's not a compliment I can give to that many movies. And I rewatched it with my dad yesterday, and he avoided any details for months. I don't know how he pulled that off, but it worked out well because when you get down to it, it is a simple premise, but you can't really guess what it's going to be because minor spoilers here. It's kind of like Jonestown, if you know what that is. And as soon as I realized that was the angle that Ray Fiennes' character was going, I just sat there and went, well, no wonder I wouldn't have guessed it. Like no villain ever goes full on Jonestown where he sacrifices himself to kill all the people he hates.
I would also give an original screenplay nod to Weird. Because of course
that's the thing. Weird Al wanted it to go into theaters for a little bit in order for Oscar consideration, but the streaming service that he sold it to wanted Emmy nominations instead because they thought that they were more likely to get that.
I don't know. I think it could.
I would have liked it. They did.
Did you see Weird?
I've seen clips. I still can't find.
So
I still can't find a good streaming for it. But I've seen the clips of like him performing "I Love Rocky Road" when My Bologna's on the radio and they're all freaking out like. And he's just throwing plates against the wall. Like, that was
goes bananas. The entire movie goes nuts in the third act. There's drug dealers and Madonna and assassinations. It's bananas. It's perfect.
It's just Weird Al's version of Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, which what would you expect from Weird Al?
But it's so much fun. Like, seriously, it's a blast.
I keep rewatching, like, the Another One Rides the Bus pool party thing where you got Gallagher, Alice Cooper, fucking Andy Warhol, and...
Yeah, they got a bunch of people in there.
The fact
Grace
that
Jones is in there somewhere, you know. People
I don't get Conan O'Brien as Andy Warhol, but I mean...
It's pretty good.
Whatever.
That's great. But those are my snubs. Do you have any extra snubs you want to throw in there?
Well, obviously, I'm disappointed the Northman didn't get any nominations because everybody's white in it. You gotta love it.
I mean, I feel like it came out too early in the year. I think.
No, but like, here's the thing: there were literal quotas in regards to how many black actors, how many LGBTQ people who were involved with the movie that you had to get nominated. It's such a fucking stupid awards process that, judging by how many people are still complaining that, hey, why didn't Viola Davis get nominated for The Woman King? Why didn't the lady from Till get nominated? It's just like, I don't know.
Woman King is boring.
Well, the Academy would not nominate Woman King anyways, just because of the fact that it does literally lie about history and acts like it's nothing.
It's a bad movie.
Oh, I'm sure it is. But
didn't do anything for me.
Like, the Northman could have at least gotten cinematography or best original score, because like the drumming musical score in the Northman, that gets your blood pumping.
That's fair, yeah.
And the cinematography has so many long takes that have to be meticulously plotted out that, in my opinion, the Northman cinematography outdoes quite a few of the other ones that were even nominated. I have already forgotten what officially has been nominated.
I think You Won't Be Alone would have been a great nomination for foreign picture.
I didn't like that one, in all honesty.
The movie is weird, man.
It's a Terrence Malick horror movie, and I'm not into Terrence Malick. I know it's not. I know it's not him, but like, the style is there. The exact same problems I have with his movies are there. I didn't care for it.
The Innocent should have got a nomination, but that's just me. I think I'm the only one who liked that movie.
I think you're the only person who's heard of it.
Oh, it's fantastic. Blew my mind.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
There's a couple scenes I physically couldn't watch without feeling sick.
That does sound about right.
But it was great.
I'm also disappointed that Batman didn't get cinematography or musical score, because again, like, it evokes the comic book look to it, but it's extremely polished. I mean, Michael Giacchino's musical score is just incredible. And again, leads to a lot of the excitement that surrounds the action sequences. Because in the musical score during the car chase sequence, or Catwoman's own theme music, where it's a lot of strings and harps that make her feel so seductive and threatening at the exact same time.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting Oscars.
And
I don't know what they're gonna do for musical performances because I don't know any of the songs, or do I care?
if the guys from RRR don't get up and start singing and dancing their song on stage,
They
that'll be a huge disappointment.
They always do all the nominated songs between between the breaks. They always do them. I mean, I'm surprised that Taylor Swift for Crawdads didn't get nominated, but I could care less.
We're in the same boat on that. And last time I mentioned RRR, I do think SS Rajamouli as the director should have gotten at least a little bit of consideration.
That's fair. Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. Tyler, what's going on the Tyler Wolff with 2S for fucking fantastic? What can we see on the channel? What videos are you making?
Well, depending on when this video airs, I have recreated the horror atmosphere of Skinamarink in order to review that properly because I feel like I need to show people what the experience is like and give them the idea whether or not it's going to scare them or whether they'll even get remotely invested in it. I know for a fact I did, and I know for a fact I had to play Skinamarink by Sharon Lois and Bram on repeat in order to calm myself down. And I still am because I
remember those guys. Is that the spider's web guy? And they got the What do they have? Puppets or no? They don't have puppets.
No, people in suits.
Yeah, like what were the other songs? They did like the Skinamarink Dinky Doo.
They really like to sing "She'll Be Coming Around the Mountain" when she comes.
Yes, I remember that from my childhood. Yeah, I did watch that video. It was atmospheric and very representative of the film.
And again,
I have not seen it. It looks terrifying.
And again, we have a 25-minute rant, sort of about Shin Ultraman that everybody fucking hates us for.
Why? Why do they hate us? I had such a great time. I thought it was the best I've ever seen.
Yeah, and diehard fans just like hate us for thinking that it was unintentionally good. They won't explain why. Like, I've asked them over and over again, and the last guy said, "No, I want you to live in your ignorance." I'm just sitting there going,
Ultraman is meant to be stupid fun. That's what it is. It's not meant to be
maybe
some
that's
serious
what
dramatic Oscar.
Okay,
picture.
maybe
it's just a good time.
Maybe they think that we didn't get that impression. I don't know. Like,
I had the best time. Are you kidding me? It's like Jackass
Well,
Forever.
then
that's how good
well,
the
then
time
you
I had.
Well, then you chime in and tell them. Like, they're not gonna listen to me.
I don't comment on YouTube unless it's for positivity.
Well, you're missing out. Like,
someone, you know what else I do? When someone says the word Legos, it's the plural of Lego is Lego. So I will comment and correct everyone on YouTube. But other than that, it's a positivity.
I'll just take your word for it on that one.
Yeah. But check out Tyler's channel. Check out PB&J. You know, we do the comedies, the ha-has, the laugh-a-roonies, you know? That's some good stuff there. Me and Ben. You know Ben. Ben, that guy. Ben's a good guy. We got 3 of the best. Check out all our short films. Coming June. Coming really soon. We're going to have a big old film festival, and then we're going to launch same day as the film festival.
Remind me again.
Chills, June's breath. That's June 9th.
Remind me again, though, what the deadline is for people in our area.
May 20th.
May 20th.
If you want to make a film, get a hold of me. You can put your film in my film festival. That's how this works. We're doing that. Princess Twin Cinema, Cinema 2. June 9th. It's going to be pretty exciting.
I'll be doing at least
one if you like.
I'll be doing at least one short. That I know for sure.
You get one. You get 10 minutes. That's the cutoff point.
Yeah, let everybody know that.
And don't forget to check out all our other episodes. We had a really fun episode of underrated dramas. I really pushed that to the limit there. I had musicals. I had thrillers. I really pushed the definition of dramatic.
Yeah, when you picked Last Night in Soho, I just sat there and went, well, more horror than drama, but it is awesome.
It's more drama than horror, I would say.
It goes back and forth quite a bit.
But great video. Next time, Tyler, we had discussed on our stream what was it we were going to interview each other about? What was that topic?
Okay, so I had an idea, preferably to like do multiple videos in one recording session, and one of them was top 5 movies we wish we had seen in theaters. So there was one, and there was another where just for the hell of it, and because we don't really have that many other lists prepped up, I was thinking, well, why don't we just ask each other where our love for cinema came from? What were some of the highs and lows? What we think about movies today versus in the past? Anything like that.
Yeah, I saw the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie and was inspired. It's a dumb movie. Do you see those guys? You know, I used to do the really bad TV thing. It's those guys riding backwards on the horse for really bad TV, but I had to add a TV because random breathalyzer testing was taken. It's an Australian TV show, but adore that movie. This is today's show. This was a pretty great show, Tyler. If you were to rate this show out of 1 to 1,000,000, would you put it past 1,000,000 or above 1,000,000? It's just chaos at the end here, y'all. We
It
had a
always
good time,
is. Yeah.
despite the tech issues. Remember we had
just
tech issues earlier in the show? Like, we just didn't bother. We
Yeah,
just had a good time.
my iPad, my iPhone, my fucking laptop, like they don't want Zoom. Like
No.
look at this iPad. Like, yeah, it's a few years out of date, but like this literal laptop, I just got it like November. And this is the thanks I get. No fucking Zoom, only StreamYard.
No, we'll fix this.
But I
for
mean,
next
StreamYard is a good service. I will give it that.
We can figure out the StreamYards thing. I know it's on my computer somewhere. It's like the Streamlabs OS. But you know, we figured it out. We got the show done.
That's true.
We had a great time, and we talked about the Oscars, y'all.
And eventually,
you know, that's a great restaurant down the street.
And eventually, I had a good mood.
Food. Oh yeah, it's a great show. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all had the fun. Or whatever, you know, you do for fun these days. Maybe you listen to our podcast on this is going up on a Monday night. This will be up tomorrow. Recording this day prior. That's really exciting. Check out all the Tyler's Review. Check out all my channels. I got a bunch. I have like a bajillion and one. And something we forgot to do last time. Something really important, Tyler. Say something awesome.
Well, you couldn't ask me that if we were doing it over. You know what? Fuck it. Bye.